Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at our cheating stories, where OP turned into a Giga Chad. Let's begin. 9 years gone wasted on her. Posted by Reddit user Rocket.
My story is quite long. I have been with my girlfriend for about 9 years and I support her 100% financially. She quit working as soon as we moved in together, so I had to support her. She also has a 20-year-old daughter that lives with us that I also support. It started when I went to visit my parents for Christmas. She didn't want to come, so I went alone. My parents live on the East Coast and I'm currently on the West Coast. So she told me she's going to go to a cabin on Boxing Day with her friends and their kids. I thought this was a little suspicious that she was leaving her daughter on the day after Christmas, but I didn't say anything. When she got there, I asked her to send me photos, but she was barely texting me and wouldn't answer my phone calls unless she was outside. How I found out she was lying was that I knew she had a guy friend that she played an online game with and I knew where he lived. We knew each other's passwords on everything, so I checked Find My iPhone and she was in his town, and not where she said. I called her right away and told her that I knew where she was and I want her to tell me. She kept lying, saying she was at the cabin with her friends. Finally, I said to her that I know you're with him and I want you to admit it. She did admit it but said that they're just friends. So why lie about it? Things were horrible when we both got back home. I said if you want us to still be together, then he has to go. No more gaming with him or chatting. She didn't agree with this and kept gaming with him. So things were awful. No sex or affection at all between us at all. Fast forward to about a month and a half later. I had to go out of town for work and would be gone for a few weeks. Still, at this point she had no idea how I found out where she was. The day after I left, she called and told me was at her best friend's house about 30 minutes from our house. But I was looking at the Find My iPhone app again and she was at an airport close to that guy's town. I called her right away and told her we were done. She lied and lied before she finally told me she's with him again. But she said they're just friends. I hung up on her and she immediately called me back over and started texting me. So I answered the phone and said we'd talk things over when we both got back home. I had no intention of talking about anything with her. I lied this time. When I got back home, she was already there. I told her that I was very upset and confused and needed some time to think. She was trying to hug and kiss me, but I wasn't having it. I packed up all my clothes, movies, video games, and computer and stayed with my brother for a couple weeks while I was looking for an apartment. As soon as I got my apartment keys, I blocked her and all her family and ghosted her. Only saw her once after that at a local grocery store where she cornered me and asked me to unblock her and that we needed to talk. She followed me around and wouldn't leave me alone until I exploded and shouted that I can't talk to you because you cheated on me, and she looked so embarrassed and walked away from me.
Well, now she's his problem. Think of the money you are now saving not supporting a useless woman and her daughter. Absolutely 100% the right thing to do in handling the situation. She made a choice and you made her live with it. Congratulations for dropping that cheating whore and moving on with your life, OP. Good luck. And now for today's second story. Will I be the asshole for breaking up with my boyfriend because he thinks it's immoral to cheat on an abusive partner? Well, yes, OP. Yes, you will be the asshole. There is zero excuse for cheating. If you're unhappy or you're being abused, you don't step out of the relationship. You walk out and never look back.
To be clear, nobody in this situation is abusive and nobody is a cheater. My boyfriend of 2 years and I got into an argument that started with The Musical Waitress, which is about a woman who cheats on her abusive husband with her gynecologist. She's also pregnant. The husband is physically and financially abusive and won't let her leave him, though she is secretly saving up money to enter a pie baking competition, so she can hopefully use the prize money to leave him and find a better future for herself and her baby. Here's my take. I don't condone cheating, but in my opinion, if your partner's hitting you and trying to take all your money, then you don't owe them any loyalty. At that point, you're more of a prisoner than partner, and you don't have to feel bad for cheating. It's better if you don't, because you might be in a lot of danger if your abuser finds out, but I wouldn't shame the cheater. However, in this case the doctor also has a wife, which the main character knows from the beginning but ignores until she meets said wife, at which point she ends the affair. So, I think she's in the wrong for sleeping with a married man. The wife deserves better and has every right to hate both of them, but not wrong for cheating on her husband. My boyfriend is a lot more religious than I am and says that there is never an excuse for cheating. He says adultery is always a sin, and if she wanted to have a new relationship, she should have waited until she could leave him. He says the husband is wrong for abusing her, but she also made vows to be faithful to him and two wrongs don't make a right. He says he doesn't know if he could remain friends with someone who cheated on her husband, even if he was abusive. Personally, I think this take is batshit crazy.
That's stupid! You're stupid! Stop being stupid!
Of course I didn't say that to his face, and I find his rigid definition of sin and immorality alarming. He says I don't understand because I'm not religious. I said I don't think religion validates not having empathy for an abuse victim and recognizing that the relationship dynamic changes once abuse starts. I also think the idea of cutting off a friend for cheating on her abuser is horrific. He says it shouldn't matter because neither of us plan on abusing or cheating on the other and he doesn't want to keep going back and forth about it. But I can't stop thinking about it, and the longer I think the more disturbing I find it. He's never been cheated on or abused, so it's not like some traumatic psychological thing. He just can't wrap his mind around cheating being okay in any circumstance. Up till now, religion has never been a reason for disagreement, and neither of us want kids, so I didn't think it would. But the whole "you don't understand because you're not religious" really got on my nerves. Both of us agree that the doctor is unequivocally wrong both for cheating and for hooking up with a vulnerable patient. He deserves to get dumped and fired and have his medical license revoked, but that's not really relevant. It feels a little ridiculous to end a relationship because of an argument that started with a fictional musical about pie. But here I am. Am I overreacting? Edit to clarify, I'm not trying to justify or condone actual cheating in any way. I would never encourage or support someone to cheat, no matter their circumstances. The point of disagreement is that I think the cheater being an abuse victim who can't leave is reason to have compassion for why they did it. And it's messed up to end a friendship over that. Update: TLDR, now ex-boyfriend lied both outright and by omission about most of his beliefs so I would date him. And thought I wouldn't care when I found out because he has nice abs and a rich family. Once I dumped him, he made up a new lie about me cheating on him, and his mom has condemned me to hell. First off, thanks for all the replies to the original post. The reason I turned to Reddit was because he was shutting down conversation while I wasn't ready to let it go. And you guys helped me figure out why exactly it bothered me and how to organize my thoughts to better communicate them. As most of you said, the core issue wasn't really about the musical or hypothetical situation. It was about the implication of underlying principles that I didn't agree with and the inconsistency in his religious beliefs, as well as the tone of religious superiority that got to me. So, I brought it up again last night over FaceTime. We don't live together, fortunately, and he was quite upset that I wouldn't let it go because I'm normally not argumentative like this. It's true that I usually try to find common ground and compromise, but I thought that was weird of him to say. At this point I felt pretty guilty about not letting it slide and I considered dropping it. But I'd spent too much time thinking about it to let it go, and boy am I glad I didn't. I started by asking about why this was a situation that could be dictated solely by religious doctrine. While he's fine with things like premarital sex, abortion, homosexuality, etc. He gave evasive answers for a ridiculously long time, but eventually it all came out. He is uncomfortable with gay people and distances himself from them too. What about our gay friends? Apparently they're my friends, not our friends. I guess we've only hung out with them in larger groups. Why has he never said anything about this before? Even when I excitedly told him that 2 of our female friends were engaged. Apparently, he thinks he shouldn't have had to say anything. And I should have known he's not okay with people who live in sin. Also, this couple won't really be married. Huh? I go to Pride every year to support my LGBTQ+ friends. He never criticized me for doing that, so why would I think he had a problem with it? I'm a quiet person by nature. It's not like I don't give him a chance to share his opinion. At this point I start to get really suspicious. I then ask him about abortion and being okay with not wanting kids. Turns out he does want kids. He tried to convince me that I misunderstood when he said he didn't want kids, and he was just saying that he wasn't ready for kids yet but would be in the future. This is an outright lie. I've known since I was about 14 that I never want kids, and I have never wavered on that. I always bring this up within the first few dates, and I distinctly remember him saying that he was looking forward to child-free adulthood, and how much freedom double income no kids have. This is when I start to get really upset because I know he's lying to me. Looking back now, I realize I never went back to asking him about abortion because I was so shaken by the kid's revelation. I wouldn't be surprised if he outright lied about being pro-choice as well. The conversation continued with us talking about religion in general. As I said, I'm not religious, and he's never tried to get me to go to church with him or anything. I was raised by immigrant parents who practice a minority religion. But they are not devout. They favor scientific explanations, and they raised me to be respectful of others' beliefs. I thought he understood that. In the past, he's asked me about cultural and religious customs and seemed respectful and interested. Turns out he thinks their religion is not real as opposed to his, and it's interesting to see their customs, but we can't expect them to know better because they weren't well educated. Both of my parents not only went to reputable universities in their original country, but also went on to get master's degrees in the country we live in now. That's when I realized he's a bigot. I also asked him about why he's okay with premarital sex but not any of the other stuff, and he hemmed and hawed and didn't have an answer, which is when I realized he's a horny nincompoop. At this point, he's still acting like I'm the bad guy for not automatically knowing all these things he's either never said and not automatically knowing when he meant the opposite of what he said. By now I know that I'm done with this relationship. But I ask him why, if religion is so important to him, he's okay with me not being religious. Long story short, he basically thought that by the time it all came out, I'd be so obsessed with him that I wouldn't dare leave him. And I would become a follower of his religion because let's be honest, he's out of my league and I won't find anyone better now that I'm getting fat. I've gone from a size 2 to a size 4 in 2 years, what the fuck? And some frankly racist, elitist crap about how his rich family is better than mine. This whole time he was acting like I was ridiculous for overreacting to all these revelations. Finally, I told him it was over and he didn't seem to believe me. Whatever, I know I'm done with him. I went to bed angry and upset, but I woke up more relieved that I know the truth now. It's going to take me a while to trust again after all those lies. But better that it happens now when I can make a clean break than if it happened after I'd moved in with him or after I'd gotten pregnant and he'd gotten me arrested for seeking an abortion. Luckily, I have the day off work today to process it all mentally. I didn't have any texts or calls from him this morning, so I figured he'd either accepted it or was still in denial. I didn't care much. Then a few hours ago I got a very angry voicemail from his mom, a woman I've met twice and has my number because we exchanged a few recipes, telling me I'm going to hell for, among other things, cheating on her baby boy. That's right, this guy must be a pathological liar or something, because his response to me dumping him for being a liar was to run to mommy with a new lie about me hooking up with some fictional man from work. Forget the fact I'm not a cheater, I don't even work with any men who would fit this lie. I sent the mom a text spelling out the truth and told her I was blocking her, which I did. Since then I've been reaching out to friends to tell them my side of the story before he feeds them a bunch of lies too. Fortunately, the ones I've talked to so far believe me, because I was kinda scared about the fact I don't have any proof besides the voicemail, and he is the more charismatic and persuasive one. The friend group is pretty liberal-minded though, and it is bizarre that his opinions never came up before. But I guess he saw them as my friends while his church friends, who I never saw much of, were his friends. Overall, I'm trying to stay optimistic, but it's terrifying how smoothly he could lie to me for so long. It only came out because he let his guard down because we were talking about a fictional story. Initially, I felt ridiculous for not letting it drop. Thank you to those who encouraged me to trust my instincts and get to the root of what bothered me. Finally, though it didn't come up again, I'll say again for the record that abuse victims whose partners won't let them leave are prisoners, not partners. They do not owe their captors any loyalty. Infidelity in that context is not a healthy or safe or smart choice, but people make bad choices when they're in survival mode. We don't have to condemn them for it. The number of people on that thread who seem to consider abuse and cheating as equal transgressions is seriously disturbing. Anyway, on to the rest of my life, I guess.
And just like yours, OP, my opinion still stands. There is zero excuse to cheat. If you're unhappy or you're being abused, you leave. With the kind of mentality that you currently have, I have no doubt that you will be a cheater too very soon. You'll find every excuse under the sun to call your partner abusive, so you can use that as the reason for your cheating. Moving on, I'm glad that you broke up with that lying trust fund baby. Learn your lesson and be better at catching red flags earlier. Good luck, OP. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.